Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Thursday, everybody, and happy opening day to everybody. I hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. We've got a new day and the first day of the MLB season, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day and a new MLB season comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. I do have 5 MLB player props to go ahead and share with you guys in today's opening day slate. But first, a welcome back to everybody. We are back with our second season covering Major League Baseball player props here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. I am very excited for the return of baseball season, and I'm also very excited to return to making MLB player prop videos because honestly, we had a very strong season last year. Now, I was a little inconsistent with the videos last year. For those who did watch last season, apologies for that. But we are back, we are motivated, we are ready to go for this season, and we're trying to build off what was a pretty profitable year last year. We're hitting on like 65% of our bets last season. Let's see if we can't go ahead and get somewhere close to that. But everyone, if you are watching today's video, please comment opening day down below. I'm doing a little opening day giveaway. All you have to do is comment opening day down below in the comments, and one lucky commenter will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. Just trying to do something a little nice for everybody as we get back into the swing of baseball to celebrate baseball being back. So comment opening day down below in the comment section, and one lucky commenter will win a free $25 Amazon gift card. And make sure, guys, subscribe to the channel. We have great content coming out all year long. Ev and myself, we have our daily MLB videos coming out, as well as our daily NBA videos. Trey has his March Madness stuff coming out. We got a lot of great content coming out, videos coming out every single day, so you don't want to miss any of it. Subscribe to the channel down below. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started with our first MLB slate of the new season. We are jumping right into the outlier screen, guys. I do want to apologize, obviously, for the echo in the room. I mentioned it in a couple of my other videos, but I just moved in to my new house with my girlfriend, and you know, we got a little bit of an echo in the room. We're trying to work on getting it fixed. I know it's a little annoying. It might sound a little weird. I do apologize for that. Again, trying to work on it. Hopefully we won't have the echo for too long, but I do want to go ahead and apologize for the fact that there is a clear and obvious echo in the room and in the video. So I do apologize for that. I hope it doesn't annoy you guys too much. And also, I do want to say before we dive into this first player prop, to guys, be cautious here because obviously we get swept up in opening day. MLB's back. You know, spring is here. You get kind of swept up in the emotions of baseball. How could you not? Baseball is a beautiful sport. I love it very much. But we have to be cautious here because the first couple of weeks of the MLB season is where a lot of people can get stung with these, especially when it comes to betting player props, because a lot of the information, a lot of the data that we have to go off of is all from last year, which obviously different teams, different circumstances, different players at different locations. So my advice to you guys is be cautious. Now, I know I say this as I'm giving you guys 5 picks in today's slate, but I wanted to make sure you guys had multiple options to go ahead and bet here on opening day. But be cautious here. Don't put a ton of money on these picks. Don't go too crazy. Don't bet too many parlays and too many picks. Be cautious. Wait about 3 or 4 weeks if you're going to go full balls to the wall on betting Major League Baseball, specifically player props, because we need time for some data to pour in so we can go ahead and make some smart sports betting choices. Everything we're betting right now, we're using last year's data, which is a little outdated, so we do have to be cautious here with our player props. You're going to hear me talk about that a lot in these first couple of weeks videos, where I'm going to warn you guys to be cautious with all your player props because, again, analytics are the most important part of betting player props when it comes to baseball, and all the information we have is coming from last year's data. All right, with all that little spiel out of the way, let's dive into our first player prop in today's slate. We're targeting the Brewers-Yankees game, 3:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Now, if you guys are new here, your first thought might be, this jackass just started off his first video with an Aaron Judge player prop. Is this guy a casual? No, but the Aaron Judge player prop actually is a pretty good spot in this game. Getting some pretty good odds too, -125 over on BetMGM, not too shabby. Now again, we don't have a lot to go off of from a recent standpoint. Honestly, the last 10 game, last 20 game tab, I'm going to ignore it for the first couple weeks of the season because I don't really care how a player looked in the final 10 games of the 2024 season. It's super outdated. What we're going to look at here mostly is the head-to-head data and the 2024 overall numbers for these player props. So in the case of Aaron Judge on this line, over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, he did cash it at a 56% hit rate last year for the Yankees, including playoffs. 97 out of 172 games he cashed this line, averaging 2.7 .74 hits, runs, RBIs per game last year for the Yankees. You also look at the numbers at home last season for Aaron Judge. Slightly better, 58% hit rate at home last season in Yankee Stadium. 49 out of 85 games, including playoffs at Yankee Stadium, he cashed the over, averaging 2.82 hits, runs, RBIs per game last season. One more key overall data point I want to show you guys is Aaron Judge's numbers versus right-handed pitchers. Obviously, Freddie Peralta on the mound today for the Milwaukee Brewers here, who was a right-handed pitcher. And Aaron Judge's numbers versus right-handed pitchers last year was really, really solid. A 68% hit rate when facing right-handed, I should say starting pitchers. 42 out of 62 games they went up against a right-handed starter. He averaged 3.15 hits, runs, RBIs per game. So some pretty good numbers when facing right-handed starting pitchers. We're not including relief pitchers here, just starting pitchers, but still pretty good numbers there. And excuse me, that was at home when facing right-handed pitchers. Overall last year, 59% hit rate when facing right-handed pitchers, averaging 2.82 hits, runs, RBIs per game. Either way, the data is pretty solid. Again, going versus any pitcher, 56% hit rate. So pretty good numbers across the board here for Aaron Judge. From a head-to-head perspective, he only played the Brewers 3 times last year, but he did cash the over in 2 of those 3 games with some pretty massive performances. You see the last time they played on April 28th of last year, a long time ago, literally almost a year ago. He had 3 hits, 1 run, and 3 RBIs in a 15-5 win against Milwaukee. And looking down below at the key matchup stats, it looks like we got a pretty good matchup on our hands here. Aaron Judge overall last year, we had a .322 batting average. When facing right-handed pitchers, you do see a slight increase to .326, which obviously is pretty damn good. But his numbers across the board are pretty solid when facing off with right-handed pitchers. And looking at Freddie Peralta of the Milwaukee Brewers, overall had a pretty strong year last year. .368 ERA, .224 batting average, 1.3 home runs per 9. However, when facing right-handed batters, you do see his numbers increase dramatically here. .472 ERA when facing right-handed batters, .240 batting average allowed, 1.9 home runs per 9, and a .335 WOBA. So looks like we got a pretty good matchup on our hands here for Aaron Judge at home in Yankee Stadium. I think a lot of people are doubting the Yankees, including myself as a Red Sox fan. Of course, it's my job to hate and doubt the Yankees. But I do think that Aaron Judge could go ahead and make a statement in this game that, hey, the Yankees are still here. We were just in the World Series. Yeah, Garrett Cole's gone, and we lost Juan Soto and all this stuff, but we're still the Yankees. We're still going to be here. So I think Aaron Judge could have a pretty big game here in their season opener. So I like Aaron Judge here as our first player prop in today's slate. And I know it's probably a sin to go ahead and bet a Yankee player prop to kick off my show, and I'm a Red Sox fan. So let's go ahead and kind of make up for it here with our second player prop, with a Red Sox player prop, my Boston Red Sox, who I do think are winning the AL East this year, by the way. I don't know what you guys think about that, but I do think Boston, I like their look at their roster right now, and with everything else going on in the AL East, I think the Red Sox are going to win the AL East this year. But again, I am a biased Red Sox fan, so take that into consideration when hearing my thoughts on the Red Sox winning the AL East. All right, guys, so our second player prop in today's slate, we're looking at the Red Sox-Rangers game, 4:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Rafael Devers of the Boston Red Sox over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, which we are getting over on BetMGM for -125 odds. Like I mentioned with the previous player prop, we're only looking at the overall data and the head-to-head data. We're ignoring all the recent trend stuff because all the recent trends are incredibly outdated. So the overall numbers last year for Devers on this over 1.5 hit run RBI prop is pretty good. A 53% hit rate last year. He cashed the over in 73 out of 138 games last season, averaging 2.27 hits, runs, RBIs per game last year. So some pretty good overall numbers there for Rafael Devers at this line. Again, looking at what we're looking for early in the year, we're looking for guys who do cash these lines at a majority of the time for their overall numbers. As a matter of fact, the exact filter I put in into Outlier here, by the way, shout out Outlier, the sponsor of today's video. Link down below in the description. If you like what you see here, 7-day free trial down below to check out all this data for yourself. It's, guys, I'm telling you guys, especially when it comes to baseball, you got to have the proper sports betting tool by your side, especially with baseball player props. And Outlier is the best that money can buy. Link down below in the description, 7-day free trial. Shout out to Outlier for sponsoring today's video and all of our MLB player prop videos throughout the 2025 season. So yeah, the filter I put in was for the players for the at least a 52% hit rate on the overall season data. So Devers pitched that range with 53%. He cashed the majority of the time last season for Boston, so pretty good numbers there. From a head-to-head perspective here for Devers, you do have some pretty solid head-to-head data. 5 of his last 6 matchups against the Texas Rangers, he's cashed the over. This, of course, dates back to last season only. But he averaged 2.5 hits, runs, RBIs per game across those 6 matchups against the Rangers. Only one time back on August 12th did he fail to cash the over against Texas. So some pretty good numbers here for Devers. We scroll down below to the key matchup stats. Devers versus his former teammate Nathan Eovaldi. 9 plate appearances since 2018, a 250 batting average against Eovaldi. Again, nothing crazy. 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Not the sweetest matchup of all time. That being said, though, Devers last year overall batted .272. However, when he went up against right-handed pitchers, his batting average increased to .293. So a pretty good matchup here versus right-handed pitchers here. And for Nathan Eovaldi, who, again, had a pretty solid year with the Rangers last year, 3.80 ERA overall, 2.29 batting average allowed, versus left-handed batters like Rafael Devers, 4.76 ERA, 2.47 batting average allowed. So you do see his numbers increase by a pretty good margin when facing off with left-handed batters. So a pretty good matchup here for Devers from -125 odds to really solid value. All right, guys, moving on. Our third player prop in today's MLB slate. We're moving on to the Phillies-Nationals game, 4:05 p.m. first pitch. We're going Josh Bell of the Washington Nationals over a total base. Now, Josh Bell is listed as a switch hitter here. We are getting this one for -140 over on DraftKings. I do not have Bet365 available to me, but I do have DraftKings, obviously, so -140 over on DraftKings. And the data is pretty solid on this player prop. Josh Bell had a 61% hit rate on this over last year. 89 out of 145 games he cashed the over, averaging 1.5 total bases per game last year for the Nationals. From a head-to-head perspective, 8 of his last 11 matchups, so a pretty good sample size here when playing the Philadelphia Phillies. 8 of his last 11 matchups against the Phillies, he's cashed the over. That's a 73% hit rate, averaging 1.64 total bases per game across their last 11 matchups with Philadelphia. And if that data didn't convince you, the key matchup stats are also pretty solid in this player prop with a healthy sample size here when looking at Josh Bell versus the starting pitcher for the Phillies, Zach Wheeler. 38 plate appearances since 2018 for Josh Bell when facing Zach Wheeler. He has a 314 batting average, 368 OBP, 11 hits, 24 total bases, and 5 extra base hits. So some pretty good matchup stats there for Josh Bell against Zach Wheeler. And looking down below even further, Josh Bell overall last year, a 249 batting average. You do see versus right-handed pitchers a slight increase to 252. His numbers across the board, minus the extra base hit percentage, see some slight increases. Even the extra base hit percentage, which does drop a little bit here. It's a very minor drop. So a pretty good spot here for Josh Bell. Zach Wheeler, who was incredible last year, 2.56 ERA, 192 batting average allowed. Versus left-handed batters, you do see a pretty massive increase in his numbers. His ERA jumps from 2.56 to 3.59. His batting average allowed from 192 to 221. Slugging percentage goes up to 4.16, and his extra base hit percentage goes up to a whopping 47%. All we need is a single here from Josh Bell, and he cashes this over, but a double, an extra base hit would obviously just cash it even further. So seems to be a pretty good spot to tail Josh Bell here. -140, a little juice there, a little high on the value, but I still like the player prop overall. All right, guys, cruising right along here. Our fourth player prop in today's slate. This one might seem a little risky, but I really think this is a smart read here. We're targeting the Angels-White Sox game, 4:10 p.m. first pitch. Now, I know it's Angels and White Sox. Nobody's super excited to bet this game. But Sean Burke of the White Sox over 4.5 strikeouts. Some really good value here, -106 over on FanDuel. Of course, available on multiple sports books for varying odds. Now, truth be told, we don't really have a ton to go off of here on this player prop. He only played 3 games. He only had 3 starts last year for the White Sox. They obviously had one of the worst seasons in Major League Baseball history last year. But one of the few little dim bright spots they had was Sean Burke towards the end of the season. Had a really strong sort of debut for Chicago. Had 3 really positive starts. He cashed this over of 4.5 strikeouts in all 3 starts last season, averaging 6.33 strikeouts per game last year. So some pretty good numbers there for Sean Burke. Again, our line is 4.5, and he averaged 6.33 strikeouts per game last season. But he came out hot. The White Sox obviously named him their opening day starter, which I guess, it's the White Sox, so how much does that really mean? Understandable. But he is their opening day starter. He is their ace this year, and I understand why. I mean, he had a really strong debut. Again, small sample size, yes, but a very strong debut. And honestly, you couldn't ask for a better opening day matchup here for Sean Burke in this strikeout line. He's facing an Angels offense that versus right-handed pitchers were bottom 10 in Major League Baseball in terms of strikeout rate, 24.2%. They've got like 5 or 6 guys in this lineup with a over 20% strikeout rate. Actually, look at the right side of the screen here. We just go down the list for the Angels lineup right now. 26.3, 29.7, 28.2, 24.4, 23.3, 28.8, counting their numbers, 6, 7. They've got like 8 or 9 guys right now in their team with an over 20% strikeout rate. Now, obviously, not all these guys are going to be in their lineup, but you got to imagine in their lineup, at least 6 guys are going to have a strikeout rate of over 20%. So you got a pretty good matchup here. Their batting average, the Angels were the second worst hitting team in baseball last year. Again, their strikeout rate was very, very low. So it seems like a pretty good spot for a pitcher who, again, small sample size, but cashed in all 3 games last season. Pretty good value here at minus 106 odds over on FanDuel. Love this for the 4th player prop in today's slate. By the way, guys, any questions on units or plays, I will be posting the final plays over on GuyBostonSports.com. I will make sure to get that in the pinned comment as well, so you guys can go ahead and follow along. But any questions on units will be figured out over there. I haven't decided yet. These are obviously the picks. I'm going to place my bets once I finish recording the video. Once I place those bets, I'll go ahead and share with you guys how many units I placed on each bet. So that's our 4th player prop. Moving on to our final player prop in today's video. And look, our 5th and final player prop in today's slate is a little juiced, but it's definitely worth tailing here. We're targeting the Tigers-Dodgers game, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. We're going Teoscar Hernandez of the Dodgers over half a total base. Now, again, it's very juiced, minus 150 over on DraftKings. If you do have Bet365, it is a little bit better over there. I don't have that available to me, so I do have DraftKings, though, minus 150. The numbers last year for Hernandez, including playoffs, were fantastic. A 69, pause for applause, 69% hit rate last year overall, including playoffs, 118 out of 170 games. He cashed the over, averaging 1.88 total bases per game. This is basically an alternate line, and we're getting it for minus 150, which I know and I understand kind of juiced, but I do think it's still worth the bet. You're going to have to put a little extra on it to go ahead and bet it, but I think it's definitely worth it. So far this year, he actually has played 2 games, obviously the Dodgers and the Cubs. They played those 2 games in Japan, so that did count towards the regular season. The unofficial opening day, if you will. He's cashed in 1 of 2 games. He had 1 total base in their first game on March 18th, and their most recent game on March 19th, he did not have a base. Again, if you guys are confused what a total base is, it's basically anytime you get a hit, whatever base you get. So if you hit a single, it's 1 total base. You hit a double, 2 total base, triple, 3 total bases, and a home run, 4 total bases. And obviously, if you hit 2 home runs, that's 8 total bases, and so on and so forth. So all we need is really a single from him, and he goes ahead and cashes the over. From a head-to-head standpoint, kind of a smaller sample size, but he played the Tigers 3 times last year and cashed the over in all 3 games last season. Looking down below at the key matchup stats, Teoscar Hernandez versus Tariq Skubal. 5 plate appearances since 2018. He is hitting 500. Again, it's a small sample size, only 5 plate appearances, but in those 5 plate appearances, 2 hits, 3 total bases, and 1 extra base hit. Looking at Teoscar Hernandez's numbers, he was batting .272 overall last year. Versus left-handed pitchers, though, you do see a nice increase to .290, which obviously is very solid. All of his numbers across the board, when facing off with left-handed pitchers, you do see a nice increase. His BA, BIP, his ISO, his extra base hit percentage, everything goes up. His extra base hit percentage versus left-handed pitchers, a whopping 46.7%. So some pretty good numbers there for Teoscar Hernandez. Now, for Tariq Skubal, you do see green across the board. However, it's still not exactly the best matchup of all time, although, again, you do look at the key matchup stats versus Skubal. He's had success off of him in the minuscule plate appearances that he's had versus him. Skubal's numbers do all have slight increases when facing off with right-handed batters, but those numbers are still 204 batting average. That's still one of the best marks in Major League Baseball. 254 ERA, really good. 323 slugging, 32.2% extra base hit percentage allowed. So across the board, even though they are better for us when he's facing right-handed batters, he's still pretty good numbers for him. So not the best matchup of all time, but the data does seem to suggest this is a pretty good spot for Teoscar Hernandez. So that's the 5th and final player prop in today's MLB slate. So guys, that is it for me today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching one more time. Please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Make sure to comment opening day, and one lucky commenter will be selected for a free $25 Amazon gift card. Guys, baseball is back. You're going to be seeing daily MLB player prop videos. I announced it in an earlier NBA player prop video what the schedule is going to look like. Now, for opening day, or opening weekend, I should say, I am going to be doing a video this Saturday. However, until probably around the NBA Finals, Conference Finals, I'm only going to be doing MLB player prop videos Mondays through Fridays, and then once we get towards the end of the NBA season, I will start doing Mondays through Saturday. Just, it's a lot of videos, a lot of extra work, and sometimes, I do have a full-time job on top of this, so it's a little bit difficult. So for now, until the end of the NBA season, again, around conference finals time, I'll be doing Mondays through Fridays. This weekend, I'll make the exception because obviously it's opening weekend. We will do a video on Saturday, this upcoming Saturday, for MLB player props, but for the majority of the spring through April and into May, Mondays through Fridays, we'll be doing daily MLB player prop videos. Guys, I will be back tomorrow with another MLB player prop video, but until then, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy opening day. Enjoy the return of baseball. Let's go ahead and make some money.